Hello everyone, hello children. How are you doing this afternoon? So this is the very first class for coding and programming part two. So the first coding and programming class we had was for web development, but this one is going to be for app development and every other thing about coding and programming. So my name is Maurice Nelson, and I have with me your coach Emmanuel FM. So he's going to be taking us for this class, and he's going to be giving some tasks for this class. So ensure to do them and get back to us with whatever question you have and the rest of it. So I would invite Mr. Emmanuel Efium to start his class now. Thank you so much.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For the next 4 weeks, plus or minus, I'll be the coach taking you on coding with Python. So we begin. First of all, give me a moment to share my screen. All right. So first things first, we will do a little introduction to coding or to programming in general. Sorry, please hold on while this material loads. All right. So our table of contents will be introduction to programming. Then we will have hardware and software, how computers store data, how a program works. Then we'll look at using Python. So let's begin. Introduction to programming. So let's think about some of the different ways that people use computers in school. Students use computers for tasks such as writing papers, searching for articles, sending emails, and participating in online classes like what we are doing right now. At work, people use computers to analyze data and make presentations and so on and so forth. So there are many things that computers are used for. At home, people use computers for tasks such as paying bills, shopping online, communicating with friends and family, playing games for the gamers. And let's not forget our cell phones that can be used as navigation systems and many other devices that are also classified as computers, even down to your onboard cars system. That is also a computer in its own right. So the uses of computers are almost limitless in our everyday lives. So computers can do such a wide variety of tasks because they can be programmed. This means that computers are not designed to do one, but they are designed to do many tasks depending on what the program tells them to do. So, what is a program in this case? A program can be said or is said to be a set of instructions that a computer follows to perform certain tasks. That is what a program is. A set of instructions that a computer follows to perform certain tasks. For example, let's go down to the most basic example of a program of of a computer and a program. Let's say a calculator. A calculator is a computer in its right, and it has a program that governs its actions. So when we say 1 plus 1 on our computer, there is a program in the back that states or lets it know that when you pick one, then pick the addition sign. It is to do a sum, carry out a sum of both, carry out an addition on both numbers, which will end up giving you 2. So if you say 3 multiplied by 5, it knows that you take 3 and multiply it by 5. For the mathematically learned persons, you know that 3 multiplied by 5 simply means 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. 3 into 5 places. So that is it. There is an instruction given that dictates how this computer behaves. So programs are commonly referred to as softwares. A software is essential to a computer because it's everything the computer does. All of the software that we use to make our computer useful is created by individuals working as programmers or software developers. A programmer or a software developer is a person with the training and skills necessary to design, create, and test computer programs. Computer programming is exciting and rewarding as a career. Government or programmers work can be found in business, medicine, government, law enforcement, even agriculture, etc. So we have a figure here, a word processing program that's and an image testing program. Oh, sorry, not image testing, image editing program. So we know an example of an image editing program, Adobe Photoshop is one of such examples. So we proceed. This book introduces you to fundamental concepts of computer programming using the Python language. But before we begin to explore those concepts, you need to understand a few basic things. There are certain rules that governs this. There are certain rules that you have to follow, or there are certain knowledges you have to acquire before you get into that. So we proceed with hardware and software. Now, the physical devices that a computer is made up touch, you can see. Those are the hardwares. Now, the computer that run or that you can see, touch, hold. Software are they are programs. You can see them, you can see how they behave, you can hear them, you cannot touch them, but you can interact them, or you can interact with them making use of the hardware. That is it. So we have hardware and software. So hardware, the term hardware refers to all the physical devices or components that a computer is made up of. A computer is not one single device, but a system of devices that all work together. Like the different instruments in a symphony orchestra, each device in a computer plays its own part. So let us leave that aspect a little and let's come into the biological aspect. You will agree with me that the human body is also a form of computer on its own. It is a biocomputer, but still it operates under the same parameters or under the same logic. So we have the human body made up of different systems that comes together or that work together towards achieving a particular goal. For instance, you have the nervous system, you have the digestive system, and so on and so forth. The nervous system controlling movement and all of that, while the digestive system controlling or taking care of extracting nutrients from food we ingest. So you can see how that is. Now that is the hardware, different components or different systems that come together to make one single device. Now, a system of devices, yes, like the different instruments played in an orchestra. We stated that. So if you have ever shopped for a computer, you've probably seen sales literature listing components such as microprocessors, memory, disk drives, video displays, graphics cards, and so on and so forth. These are for people who go into or who wish to build their own computers from scratch. Now, each of those components has its own different use. Video display, this will be this, or this is the screen. The video display is the screen. Everything you do is shown on the screen. You have the microprocessor. This could be considered as the brain of the computer. So every sort of processing, or everything that goes on with that computer, first of all passes through the microprocessor. Then you have your memory or disk drives where your info, your data is stored, graphics card, and all of that. Unless you already know a lot about computers, or at least have a friend that does, understanding what these different components do might be challenging. As the figure below shows, a typical computer system consists of the following components. So we have the central processing unit, CPU, the main memory, the secondary storage device, input devices, and output devices. So this is it. We have our typical components of a computer system. We have our input devices, we have central processing, main memory, and secondary memory. Then we have our output devices. So for input devices, we have our webcam, we have our scanner, we have our keyboard, we have our joystick. Central processing unit, we have our microprocessor, and we have our RAM, which is the main memory. Then we have our secondary RAM, our secondary storage device, which will be your hard drive where your data is stored. Then output devices, this is your monitor, your printer, your speaker, and so on and so forth. So far we have learned what a computer is, and we have found out the different aspects of a computer. We have the hardware and the software. Now, in these two, I should state that these two do not or cannot function independently. They must come together so as to function properly. You have your hardware. The hardware is nothing without the software, and the software is useless without the hardware. These are things that you should take note of. These are things that you should take note of. Just like I would also want to, once again, I want to bring it back to the human body. All of our physical parts, all of our organs, and all of that are basically useless without our consciousness. So in this case, our body is the hardware, then our consciousness is the software, because this controls what we do and how we behave. That is that. So we proceed. I won't go in depth into explaining all the different aspects of a computer. I'll just do a brief rundown of each of these aspects. So we have our input devices, we have our output devices, we have our softwares, and we have our system softwares. So an input device, is any input is any data the computer collects from the user or from other devices. The component that collects the data and sends it to the computer is called an input device. So input device receives data from the user or from another device and then sends it to the computer, which it now processes or does whatsoever it is tasked to do on that data received. That is an input device in a nutshell. An output device is an output is any data that the computer produces for people or for other devices. So input is received from the user and given to the computer via an input device. Output is taken from the computer and sent to the user or another device via the output device. Then some of that, if a computer is to function, then software is not optional. Everything that a computer does from the time you turn the or from the time you hit the power button up until you shut down the computer is under the control of software. Let me take that again. As soon as you hit your power button on your computer and it boots up, from that point, from the moment it starts booting, it is being run or being controlled by a software which dictates what goes where, what behaves, how, up until the very moment that computer is shut down. That is what a software is. So for a computer, let's go back to the first statement. For a computer to function, software is not optional. It is mandatory. It is a must for a computer to function. Now, there are two general categories of softwares. We have the system software and we have application software. Most computers clearly fit into one of these two categories, or most computer programs clearly fit into one of these two categories. So let's take a closer look at each. System software. This is a program that controls and manages the basic operations of a computer. These are generally referred to as system software. System softwares typically include the following types of program: operating system and utility programs. So your operating system is a system software because it controls, it dictates how your computer behaves. To dive in a little to the operating system aspect, for laptops or in computing in general, we have about four different operating systems. We have the Windows operating system, we have the Macintosh or Mac OS, we have the Linux, we have Android operating system. Now, the Linux is split into multiple other. Okay, and we also have the Unix. That's 5. Linux has sub operating systems or subs under it, but those are the 5 main operating systems: Windows, Mac OS, Android, Linux, and Unix. Now, each of these is specific to a particular device, and they dictate or control how that device behaves. That is it for operating system. So an example of a system software is an operating system. Now, utility software, this is a program that performs a specialized task. For instance, the games we play, those are utility softwares. We have our calculator, it is a utility software. Our notepad is a utility software. Any application that is installed by you for a particular purpose is a utility software because it performs a specific task. Then we now move on to, this is all under system software. System software, we have um, operating system and utility programs. Now let us look further into utility programs. So utility programs, or a utility program, is a program that runs or completes a specialized task that enhances the computer operation or safeguards data. Example of utility programs are virus scanners. I forgot to mention that. Virus scanner is the utility program. File compression programs like your zip, your 7-zip, your WinRAR, those are utility programs and data backup programs. We also have software development tools. Software development tools are programs that programmers use to create, modify, and test software. Let's not go beyond that point. Software development tools, programs that developers use to create, modify, and test softwares. We will be making use of one of such programs or one of such tools in the nearest future. In our most likely our second or third class, we will be introduced to an example of that. But just to throw this in there, Visual Studio Codes. This is an example of a software development tool, and this is what we will be using to work on Python programming language. Now we have application software. Programs that make a computer useful for everyday tasks are known as application software. These are programs that people normally spend most of their time running. So your games, your video editing or image editing, your sound mixing application, your Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all of that. Those are all application softwares because these are for everyday use. Now, checkpoint. What is a program? A program is a software that controls or dictates how a computer behaves. That is a program. What is a hardware? Hardware refers to individual components or systems in a computer. So list 5 major components of a computer system. We have our input, we have our output, we have our utility softwares, we have our system softwares, we have our software development tools. Then what part of the computer actually runs programs? Now, the part of a computer, what part of the computer runs a program? Now, a program is run on your computer's hard drive, but processed through your microprocessor, through the microprocessor in your computer. So, the computer or the program is stored on your storage device, your computer's storage device or your computer's memory, then operated on by your microprocessor, your computer's microprocessor. So what part of the computer serves as a work area to store a program and its data while the program is running? Now, I would not want to explain all of these to you. So as to give you something to do, after today, we will not be meeting again until Monday. So as to give you all something to do, I would want you, these questions will be sent along, or these questions will be passed along. So it will be the assignment. So in your own words, not my words, make your research, do a little bit of browsing. You tell me what a program is, what is a hardware, what is a hardware component, list 5 major components of a computer system, what part of the computer actually runs the program, what part of the computer serves as a work area. Those are the questions you will answer. So these questions will be made available to you all. So as not to overwhelm you with too much information, we will call it a day right here. But I believe in this class we have been able to learn what a computer is, the two aspects or the two major components of a computer being the hardware and the software components. We have learned what a software is or a program is. We have learned what hardware is, and we have learned basic components or the components in a computer system. So we will call it a day right here. We will meet in our next class, which is on Monday by 10 a.m. So have a nice day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So, Mr. Morris, I will be ending the class here so as not to overwhelm the children. I hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you for today's class. I'm so grateful that we were able to have this class today. All right. Till Monday, everyone.
All right, I will make the questions available to you so it can be sent across.
Thank you very much. I'll be expecting it.
All right, no problem. You're welcome.